So today so obviously the first day of our teacher strike, and so we are here to answer questions, make statements, let you know what's going on here, and how much we want to continue the negotiations. So we're going to hear this morning from our Superintendent, Dr. Johnson, our Board President, Mike Hutchinson, and other members of our staff who will give answers to questions as well. So let's go ahead and start with our Superintendent, Dr. Johnson.
Good morning. Yesterday was a very difficult day of bargaining for me. Our community is suffering. Kids who depend on us for safety, stability, and education are out of school, adults scrambling. A strike is always hard, but is even harder on the heels of the pandemic and the end of the school year. Our kids need stability and routine and the joy this season usually brings more than ever. I am disappointed, but I promise you that we are and will continue to do all we can to get our kids back in school and get these negotiations resolved. My goal as superintendent has always been to increase the compensation of our teachers. There are many ways we can improve the quality of education in Oakland, yet the single most critical tool is retaining quality teachers. I have appreciated the progress we have recently made with OEA and believe we can continue to align towards a shared vision and purpose for our common good and have that reflected in ways that do not impact our future collective bargaining agreements in unprecedented ways. The latest salary proposal would give teachers an unprecedented raise, one that they deserve, and one that OUSD teachers haven't seen in years, if not decades. Our latest salary proposal is nearly $70 million in investment in teachers because they are the single most important investment in our children's education. I attended Oakland schools and am dedicated to providing a robust offer to our educators in OUSD. Our latest proposal on compensation puts money in OEA members' hands immediately with a retroactive 10% raise and a $5,000 one-time bonus, offers every classroom teacher a minimum salary increase of at least 13% for next year, with many teachers receiving as much as a 22% increase. It removes frozen zones in the existing salary schedule, where teachers now go up to 8 years without a raise. This problem has existed for decades, and we have now proposed a solution to fix it, shortening the time it takes to move to the top of the pay scale from 32 years to 20 years. While compensation has been OUSD's top priority in negotiations, OEA made clear that other contractual items were also important to them. Our proposals to OEA to address other items, including investments in counselors, visual and performing arts teachers, more preparation time for teachers, and a process for ensuring that special education teachers and staff are supported through an equitable workload model. My team has thoughtfully planned out a way and made recommendations to make sure the district can afford this massive compensation package to maintain financial stability in the years to come. The district urged OEA to continue with our productive discussions up until late in the evening last night. So why are our teachers out on the picket line today? OEA leadership is calling for a strike because they will only negotiate critical parts of a contract, including compensation, if the common good proposal is also included in the contract. We spent the last 48 hours talking almost exclusively with OEA leadership away from the table about the one topic, while the rest of our bargaining teams were idle. While we agree with most of the underlying principles in the common good, there are many other ways to collaborate with OEA in this area. We would have preferred to spend the last 2 days focused on how best to reach an agreement to retain our educators. OEA's vision of the common good is about us, the district, attempting to singularly solve complex societal realities, such as homelessness, that go far beyond the scope of what public schools can and should do alone. Their proposal is filled with issues that we all agree are essential, but require partnership. As a nationally recognized full-service community school district, we have established a track record of prioritizing the full and holistic interests and needs of our students, families, and educators. This is in part what makes OUSD special. Education is the cornerstone of our society that opens up endless possibilities for our students and transforms the communities where we collectively exist. Every child who grows up through OUSD graduates and continues to shine after they leave our schools is how I define our common good. I know that as a district, we have not always delivered on that promise. Nonetheless, as a former teacher and union organizer myself, I have a crystal clear vision guided by our strategic plan for the district. The first priority for OUSD is to be grounded in academic excellence and student well-being. We see a reality where our educators are not only personally compelled, but compensated competitively to remain in Oakland. OUSD needs to stay grounded and in excellence of our 250 students taking today's advanced placement statistics and seminar exams. OUSD stands for educating our students to be civically engaged and actively shaping the future leaders of the next generation so that they can continue to solve some of the complex problems that we have now: homelessness, environmental justice. OUSD needs to keep prioritizing joy along with rigor and academic standards in the teaching and learning that transcends our classroom walls and into our living rooms, schoolyards, and community spaces. As a district, we simply can't do everything, and it is our mission critical that we remain focused on prioritizing our primary purpose, which is teaching and learning and student well-being. We have made a historic offer to OEA totaling nearly $70 million. And yet, because we prioritize compensation as a retention strategy, there is very little remaining resources to address other issues. I don't need to repeat the reality already known about our collective recovery from the pandemic. Our students were impacted academically, socially, and psychologically, disrupting days at the end of our second full academic year back together is not in service of our common good. Of course, our united vision of student achievement is only possible with teachers, and that is why I have provided creative solutions to raising teachers' pay. Our focus is and will remain on the needs of students and on the needs of our educators who teach those children every day. And we remain willing and ready to continue conversations so that we can end the strike immediately. Thank you.
Next up is our board president, Mike Hutchinson.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Mike Hutchinson. I'm the school board director in District 4 and currently the school board president. This is a very disappointing day, and it's not a position that I ever thought I'd find myself in. For me personally, I'm an OEA baby. My mother was the former first vice president of OEA. I've had other members as members of OEA. This is what my family has done for decades. I was proudly elected in 2020 with unanimous endorsement from OEA. We now serve on a school board where 5 of the 6 school board directors were endorsed and heavily supported by OEA. We've been negotiating for months, and for over a week, we've been negotiating every day. We want to continue negotiating. We don't want a strike. But they've left the table and they've broken off discussions, not us. It's very disappointing to me when it felt like we were really having movement towards an agreement, that this is where we find ourselves now. Like the superintendent mentioned yesterday, there was direct negotiations between OUSD leadership and OEA leadership. And both County Superintendent Castro and State Superintendent Thurman visited bargaining this week. So when I see messages that claim that OUSD has not been bargaining, has not shown up at the table, that is incorrect. We are in a very difficult situation though now because negotiations have been broken off. I'm proud of the work our bargaining team has done to put this offer on the table. And the only way we can come back or have an agreement is if we come back to the table. I'm sorry to the community that our schools and our lives are being disrupted in this sort of way. I encourage everyone to look at the proposals that have been listed publicly that the district has been making. They're listed on both the district website and OEA's website. And just lastly, when it comes to some of the common good items, these are items that we as a city and as a school district believe in all of these things. I'm proud that I was the co-sponsor of the Reparations for Black Students resolution that the school board passed in 2021. I'm proud to author and help pass a resolution in January that ended school closures in OUSD. Many of these items are things that we've all worked on together, and I would love to continue partnering with teachers and the teachers union to bring those things about. But we have an opportunity for a historic contract here in Oakland. And again, the only way we can settle a contract is if everyone comes back to the table and we're able to continue negotiations. I want to stress for the community especially, we have been negotiating every day. To claim that we have negotiated in bad faith is incorrect. To say that we were not at the table the last 2 days is incorrect. And so we are in a tough situation, and it's dependent on everyone coming to the table so we can negotiate and come to an agreement on a contract that will benefit our teachers and OUSD going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to open it up to about 15 minutes worth of questions. So please fire away. And we've got just beyond President Hutchinson, Superintendent. We also have Terry Gard, our head of talent, and Jean Lindsay, who is our head of labor relations, who are going to answer questions.
Yeah, and another thing to clarify, I think you said that for the last 2 days that you haven't negotiated salary, it's been about the common good items, is that right? Right, can you just clarify what you were saying about the last 2 days of negotiation?
So we have been following the direction given to us by our board, which was initially to prioritize compensation. So any conversations outside of compensation has been a separate issue. We've been spending time doing that because OEA has articulated very clearly that that was a priority to them. And so that is one of the reasons why we've been spending so much time in that particular area for the last 48 hours.
Aaron Baldessari here from PGE. Some of the union leadership have said that they haven't received a comprehensive contract in writing. Could you respond to that? What has been provided in writing?
Sure. I'll have our Director of Labor, Jean Lindsay, she will provide that response. Thank you.
Going to go this way.
Jenine Lindsay, Lindsey. And what was your question?
Some of the union leadership has claimed that they haven't received a comprehensive proposal in writing. So I'm just wondering if you could explain what has been provided in writing in terms of both the salary but also the compensatory proposals.
Sure. So first of all, our proposals are on our website. And it is true that during the negotiation process, there's a point where you talk conceptually to try to get to closer together. But we have provided written proposals. Their definition of comprehensive may include some other items that are not currently in the contract. So comprehensive proposals, the district has continued to negotiate in good faith on all items in the contract that are required to be collectively bargained. It depends on what the definition of comprehensive, and I can specifically say, as our superintendent named, there is a set of proposals that is very important to OEA, and we all have similar values, and I believe that this is deeply rooted in their passion to see improvements, not only in the school district, but also in the city. And but our resources can only go so far, and some things are not required of the district to negotiate. And so we have prioritized the items that are required and are in our collective bargaining agreement.
Did any of the items in that rate proposal that you said provided include anything on the common good list, or is that exclusively about compensation?
So definitely not exclusively about compensation. We found opportunities to weave in some of the values that are deeply rooted in the common good. For instance, sort of prioritizing schools with resources consistent with our Black reparations policy. Those things were we were able to negotiate. So there's a through line in terms of the overlap between some of the items that are contractual and the values that are there.
The school board president, or not school board president, OEA president told us this morning that the school board has failed to give their chief negotiator the authority to bargain with us. Would you comment on that?
So one of the things when it comes to negotiating this contract is there are items within the scope of the contract that we as a district are mandated to negotiate. Usually compensation and work conditions. There are items that are outside of the scope of the contract for what we are required to negotiate. The school board has not authorized negotiators to go outside of that scope. That authorization was made previously in the fall by a previous school board, and there's not been a vote to change that. So what we have done is we are always willing to meet and talk with our teachers or all of our bargaining partners, especially over these ideas that we all care about. But as a district, it's a different thing for us to codify that language in a contract with one of our bargaining units. And so there has been no authorization to go outside of the mandated scope of a contract.
What's included in the scope?
It's a long legal definition, but basically what we would consider in the scope of a contract, and it's largely compensation and work conditions.
All right, yeah, please.
What's not considered in the scope that we talk?
We've actually been here before a little bit, so items like school closures, for example, and how district property is utilized, leases, and things like that. And we have several committees and other opportunities to partner with our labor partners, not just OEA, because we have 6 unions in the district on those areas, but the collective bargaining agreement does not currently include those items.
Is that one of the sticking points that issue school closures and school buildings?
Yes, and all of the proposals are on the website, including that item. So we've spent a lot of time just outside of the table, not at the negotiations table, but just talking through that and trying to find ways to work together. It also has to do with shared governance. And I won't speak for OEA, these are their priorities, but that's something that we also believe in, but it also includes other bargaining units, other community members. So that's another topic.
Good question.
Yeah, so we also spoke to the union this morning. They say that what's being proposed is only for teachers who are certified, and that also includes that teachers have to work more per week, 2 hours more per week. So that means 66% of the membership, psychologists, nurses, and whatnot, would not be eligible for a pay raise. Can you comment on that?
I will say that our initial compensation proposal was very narrowly tailored to incentivize retention. And so that proposal did incentivize retention in a way that did not include all members. So if you had to be tenured, you had to be in the district for 3 years. So that excluded a number of their members. OEA made it very clear that that would not be something they would accept. It had to prioritize the lowest paid. We took a lot of time to meet them somewhere on that issue, and we've now changed our proposal so that issue is not present in our current proposal. All OEA members will receive a 10% raise under that proposal. All teachers will receive at least 13%, and at the max 23%. That's our superintendent chair.
I just want to go back to the question of the comprehensive package. So I've heard from union reps this morning that they were not informed, for example, of like the nurses package that's communicated to the community. So I just want to put a finer point on that. What exactly did they receive? What numbers did they not receive? And will they be receiving something that's more comprehensive soon?
Sure. So they did receive something in paper last night, as well as electronically last night. So I just want to clarify that. I understand that it's been said that they didn't. I just have to say that they did. And it's hosted on our website now. And it is the product of a lot of hours together and working through numbers, the median salary and the county, special education issues. It was a lot of working together prior to, and so that proposal is responsive to many of those things.
So how close would you say you are on the required issues like salary and class sizes and some of those other issues that are in the contract? Would you say that based on last night's or yesterday's offer, you feel that could be settled? It's the other issues that perhaps are outstanding?
Without receiving a counter from them last night, I'll just say what I believed. I believe we would have reached a tentative agreement last night.
I want to ask about the process leading up to this. Obviously, this was like months coming. What we heard from union members was that the district was coming to the table unprepared. There was lots of canceled meetings. It didn't seem like they had authorization to negotiate. I was just wondering if you could comment on, obviously y'all have been meeting in earnest over the last week, but in the months leading up to this, what kind of work has been taking place?
That's a great question. So first of all, we started with our sunshiny in October, and that was a little odd. We usually start in December, but that was based on mutual agreement and had a lot to do with COVID. And so it's interesting because COVID raised the bar in terms of how quick you negotiate. This is not like the 2019 strike where we had negotiated for months. We actually prepared in just a very short amount of time to put a very large raise on the table. And that did, I will be honest, that takes a lot of preparation and caucus time and working through numbers, especially for a district that has fiscal oversight. But in terms of the progress, even with it being off the normal schedule, we have definitely been responsive and at the table. And to be here so quickly is actually unprecedented. To be able to even be this close to an agreement over just 6 months. And I actually think that comes from lots of practice due to COVID negotiations. Hope I answered your question.
Another question in the back? Any other questions?
In the meantime, I do have a question. If a lot of the kind of conflict is centered around those common good proposals, and the district has already stated because you have increased salary, that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room. Is there any other forward progress to be made from the district side, any kind of compensation on those common good proposals that you guys are willing to make?
Well, we'll definitely operate within our authority, and we'll definitely continue to explore ways within our authority. And we're ready to do that at any time.
I'll also just add, in addition, which gets to Ms. Lindsay's point in terms of having other tables outside of the bargaining table. When we get to the common good, whether it's taking an issue like environmental justice, right, taking an issue like Black reparations, taking an issue like homelessness, right, there are opportunities to think innovatively around ways that the district can partner with the city, around the ways that the district and the union can have some advocacy, right, to reimagine legislation at the state level. So we want to be able to lever all the different ways that we can work together. That is one of the values. Yes, there's tension at the table. There actually has continued to be conversations. I do think both sides actually want to reach an agreement. and both sides have values. Both sides are trying to stick to those values, but we remain willing to communicate, because I do think compromise is at the heart of what we have to do. I know that's what our students, that's what our families. And so for some of these more complex issues, we're going to have other discussions, because it's going to take far more than just the district to really have some serious solutions.
Can you talk about what resources are available for students during this time? So I know that the schools are open. In the past, there's been solidarity schools, libraries, or rec centers.
So we've been in partnership with the city, and based on, as you know, the city also has limitations. They are going through a very massive financial situation themselves, but they are still providing the support that they have in terms of their park and recreation centers and staffing.
And are you gonna have a mediator?
One at a time, please. Yes.
Sorry, you guys said retaining teachers has been the priority. That's not something that came up this week. That was an issue back in October. How come it took so long to expand the depth to include all teachers, not just certified teachers in the beginning, number one, and number two, what about funding?
It's our last question, by the way.
How will you have money for this, because funding has always been the issue.
Well, I'll answer that question, and then I'll have our Director of Labor answer the other one. So budget is always about priorities and adjustments, period, right? So there's always limited funding. We have said it is actually in our local control accountability plan, that's LCAT. One of our goals is actually retention. So what does that mean? That means that we're actually prioritizing, meaning there are some things we're not going to do, because we know that retention is key to us reaching our other goals. So it means that part of what the board is going to have to do year after year, we know this is a $70 million investment. There are going to be adjustments, right, that we have to make so that we can maintain solvency and make sure that we're prioritizing what's most important. And for your other questions, hold on, Ms. Lindsay, so she can answer the other part of your question.
Question was,
if retention is the key factor here, that should have been an issue back in October when the contract expired. But initially, you guys were just looking at raises for certified teachers. Now you've expanded to include all teachers. Why did it take so long to expand it when that's, according to you guys, the priority to begin with?
sure, that's a great question. So first of all, our proposal always included all teachers, all OEA. It did include a higher increase for those who remained in the district and were certificated, and provided the opportunity for teachers to have increases along the way. But to answer your question, the way that the budget development process works for school districts is not very specifically aligned to the way that the state's budget works. So there's a lot of holds and stalls for new information from the state around funding. And there's a lot of adjustments that has to be made based on that. Our Board of Education took action, to ensure that we're able to, not just for OEA, but for all of our employees, provide raises. So this year in particular, because we started earlier than usually, it's particularly off from the budget adjustment process. So I will say that what was initially put on the table, we were able to increase that even further once more information came from the state and adjustments were made internally.